Lesson 50. We are getting up there in numbers. It's exciting. Go ahead and do your warm-up and get back to me. Here are the answers to the warm-up. I did 5 times 40, which is 200, and 5 plus 5 times 8, which is 40, so 240. This one, we just moved that decimal over 2 places. 1, 2 is 1.25. This one, you could do 20 times 5 is 100, so 40 divided by 5 is 8. Or you could do 20 times 40 divided by 100. So 20 times 40 is 800, divided by 100 is 8. This one, square root of 225 is 15. This, I multiplied 5 times 2 is 10. And 40 divided by 5 is 8. Doubled that is 16. And now we're going to jump into the lesson. This might cause some problems for some of you because it's probably new, and so we're probably going to readdress it over and over, and then we get to readdress it in algebra again. So let's do our best on the first time and see how it goes. Let's just reiterate what canceling looks like, okay? I'm going to take 24 and 36 and break them down into their prime factorization. Remember, 24 is the same as 8 times 3, and 8 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. 36 is 6 times 6, and so, or we could say 4 times 9, which is 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. Okay, now remember we get to cancel stuff and cancel groups or pairs, right? And we're left with 2/3. And we also can cancel this thing. Remember, we can cross cancel, so that would become 2/5. The reason we're showing you that is to show you that we can do the same thing with units. Here we have units, okay? And we can also cross cancel and cancel straight up and down with units. So notice here we have feet and feet. Those get to cross out as well. When we do that, we have 5 times 12, which is 60, and now we have inches as our units. Okay? So what we actually just did was, this is how we do conversions. We just converted 5 feet into inches, which would be 60 inches. And we used what's called unit multipliers. Here's an example of some unit multipliers. Okay, there are 2 different unit multipliers. It's always in a fraction form, and they're equivalent. Like, we know that 12 inches equals 1 foot. But instead of writing 12 inches equals 1 foot, we put 12 inches on top and 1 foot on the bottom. Or another way to write that same unit multiplier is to put 1 foot on top and 12 inches on the bottom. Now you might be wondering, why on earth would we do this? Well, the fun thing is this is a magical way to convert units. So sometimes, well, like in this case, 96 inches. Let's say we want to convert that into feet. Okay, we say, all right, I have 96 inches. How many feet is that? Now, most of you know, oh, well, I think I would just divide 96 by 12, which is true. For simple conversions, your common sense tells you that you might just divide by 12. But we're going to show you how to show your work and do it with simple things so that we can do it with harder conversions later on. Okay, so you're going to have to trust me on this, even though you think it might be kind of ridiculous. Okay, you're going to thank me because you're going to use this in chemistry, you're going to use it in physics, you're going to use it in science classes as well as math classes. So, and in real life, actually, when you have to do several conversions. So we're going to take 96 inches. Now notice we're doing inches and feet. I forgot to tell you, unit multipliers can be used for lots of things. Like here, what if we did 16 ounces is 1 pound? Or you could say 1 pound on top and 16 ounces on the bottom. It works for everything. So it could be yards and feet, it could be centimeters and meters, it can be everything that you would, every measurement that you would want to convert between. Okay, you could even convert between feet and or inches and centimeters when we're switching from one form of units to another system, like to metric system. So let's take 96 inches and we want to convert it to feet. Okay, so you're going to have 96 inches. Now, here it looks like a regular number times a fraction, right? So sometimes it helps to put a 1 down here just so to remind you that 96 inches is on a fraction too. Okay, so you can, that way you know that these two are across from each other. We can cross cancel between the 96 inches and the 12 inches. So they are diagonal, which means it's fair game to cancel those out. In fact, just like we did above, we can, now we got inches and inches, so each of those cancel out. And then we also have 96 and 12. We can cancel out 12, goes into 96 8 times. Whoa. So what we get, what's left is everything is canceled out, so we got 8 times 1, feet. 8 feet. Okay, so it's a fun trick once you understand the process in order to convert. So 96 inches is the same as 8 feet. Now, yes, you might have said, okay, 96 divided by 12. I already knew that, Mrs. DeShiel. Why would I have to do all this weirdness? Well, it's going to get a little more complicated, and so if you know this method, it will be neat how you can use it later on, okay? So we're learning the method, and then we'll get more complicated, rather than just starting out with complicated. And here's the trick, or here's the skill or the method. We take the given measure, so like we had 96 feet, or we had 96 inches, and then we multiply it by a unit multiplier. Remember, that was the equivalent, like 12 inches equal 1 foot, and that will equal what you're looking for. So you might have this, and then they say convert it to this, but we have to use a unit multiplier. So start with the given, multiply by a unit multiplier, and you'll get your answer. So remember these 3 steps. So before we actually practice this, we're going to just practice writing unit multipliers. And the first one is, for some reason, on mine, I have a typo. Yours will be fixed by the time you do it. 3 feet equals 1 yard, and they want us to write 2 unit multipliers for this. All that means is write 2 fractions, okay? One would be 3 feet is 1 yard, or your other one would be 1 yard on top and 3 feet on the bottom. So you're going to be asked that to write unit multipliers. The reason is sometimes you're going to want to use this one, sometimes you're going to want to use this one. It depends on what you're converting to. So there's our 2 unit multipliers. All right, now we've got these 2 options, and it says use one of those to convert 240 yards to feet. Now, yes, you might be like, well, Mrs. DeShiel, I just divide by, or I multiply by 3. But how do you know if you multiply or divide? Sometimes your brain gets a little confused by that. So let's take 240 yards. Remember, we start with our given measure. We go ahead and write 240 yards, and maybe put it over 1 so you remember that 240 yards is in the numerator. And then we're going to multiply by one of these. How do we pick which unit multiplier we use? Well, for starters, think, I want to get rid of yards. I want the yards to cancel out because I want to end in feet. So if I want to end in feet, I want feet up top and yards on the bottom so I can cancel out my yards. So which one of these has yards in the bottom? This one. So this is going to be our unit multiplier that we're going to use. So we're going to write 3 feet. This tricks people a lot. This is probably where I see the biggest mistake is people write these flipped over by accident. You know that you're right when you can cross cancel and those units disappear, the ones you started with, because you want to end with feet. That's what it says. So now we've got everybody cancel out. You can put a little 1 or just cross them out. So what we need to do is 240 times 3 in order to get our final answer, which is 720. And we've got feet that never canceled out. And there we go. So we just showed this cool method of converting 240 yards to 720 feet. Now I want you to try the same. Now they're saying convert 240 feet to yards. So you're starting with this, and you're going to use one of the unit multipliers to get an answer for this. So we want to get rid of feet and end in yards. So that means we want to use this unit multiplier. That way the feet are on the bottom and they're going to cancel out. So we put 3 feet on the bottom, 1 yard on top. Okay, feet and feet cancel out. And this is an easy multiplication problem, or easier, because all we have to do is divide 240 divided by 3, and 224 divided by 3 is 8. So it's 80 yards. Okay, so when you do these in your homework, if it says convert 240 feet to yards, we need to see this now. We need to see it with the unit multipliers. Don't just divide by 3 and give the answer, because then that won't be correct. We're learning this new method because we're going to get to do this with lots of numbers. It's going to be fun later on. We just have to learn how first. All right, now let's use, a lot of times you'll be given the conversion right here, or the conversion rate. Our 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters, and we're going to convert 350 millimeters to centimeters. Okay, so we're starting with 350 millimeters. Okay, and we could put it over 1 just to help visually know that this is the numerator. And then remember, we take our given measure, we multiply by a unit multiplier. Well, we put this into unit multipliers. We're either going to have 1 centimeter on top and 10 millimeters on the bottom, or 10 millimeters on top and 1 centimeter on the bottom. So we have to decide which one goes on the bottom. Well, I want millimeters down here, right? Because I want those to cancel out. So I'm going to put 10 millimeters here and 1 centimeter here. So that's the unit multiplier that I got from this. Remember, there's 2 options. This is the option we want so that we can cross those out and end in centimeters. So now we have 350, and we can also, 10 cross out a 0, we end up with 35 centimeters. Okay, so 350 millimeters is 35 centimeters, and that's how we show it using unit multipliers. Now you have practice, so make sure you show the work that they ask for, and then come back and check with me and see if you also showed it the way that we needed to do it. All right, you may begin. So I'm going to convert 1 yard into, or I'm not going to convert, I'm actually going to write 2 unit multipliers. So we just write 1 yard on top, 36 inches on the bottom, or 36 inches on top and 1 yard on the bottom. So as long as we know, is it true? 1 yard is 36 inches, yes, or 36 inches is 1 yard. So these are 2 answers for that. We get to do more unit multipliers, so we'd write 100 centimeters on top, 1 meter on the bottom, or 1 meter on top, 100 centimeters on the bottom. All right, this one, 16 ounces, 1 pound, or 1 pound. So 1 pound is 16 ounces. Okay, so we've practiced creating unit multipliers. Now we're going to do conversions. All right, convert 10 yards to inches. So we start with your given measure, maybe put it over 1 for the visual, and then we're going to use a unit multiplier in order to end up, we want our final answer to be in inches. All right, so what do we know? We know that above, I think we're going to use this, we just found up here, 1 yard is 36 inches. Okay, so maybe I'll write that. 1 yard is 36 inches. Hope you knew to think back and look at that. Okay. So I want yards on the bottom. So I'm going to write the 1 yard down there and the 36 inches up top so that my yards cancel out. And now we have to do 10 times 36, which is 360 inches. So 10 yards is 360 inches. All right, next one. 24 feet is how many yards? So we're going to convert 24 feet into yards. So I'm going to want to end up in yards. So I should have yards up here, feet on the bottom. And what's my conversion? There are 3 feet in 1 yard. And so now we can cancel out our feet. And 3 goes into 24 8 times. So now it looks like our answer is 8 yards. All right, the last one. In Old England, 12 pence equaled 1 shilling. Merlin had 24 shillings. And maybe, I don't know how you write that, so I'm just going to write it out. I don't know how you abbreviate shillings, okay? So we want to convert 24 shillings into pence. So put it over 1. We do our unit multiplier. My final answer I want in pence. All right, so the unit multiplier, I either put 12 pence on top or 12 pence on the bottom. Well, we want to have shillings down here so that those will cancel out, and we want pence on top. So we have 1 shilling is 12 pence. And so now we cancel, or sorry, we cross out the shillings, and so now we have 12 times 24. Now it's kind of a big one, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you sometimes when I'm not on top of my mental game. I go ahead and do the math. So we get 288 pence. And there you go. So these are fun, and we're going to do over and over again. So make sure this made sense to you. Go back and check. If you get stuck, ask for help, or ask for help from me in class. And good job. Thumbs up. Next time I'll see ya.